afternoon. I'm still reporting on the economy. A month ago in my report number 116, I did a story on a Swiss initiative to provide for a basic income for every Swiss citizen aged 21 and over, in addition to whatever other income they may make. This initiative has gathered 125,000 signatures, well over the 100,000 threshold. So eventually this will be put to the voters. If they approve it, it becomes the law of the land and bypasses the Swiss legislature. Could this possibly work in America? Let's take a look at the basic numbers. Let's say there are approximately 206 million registered voters in the United States, 18 and older. What if we paid all of them $400 a week, the equivalent of a $10 per hour job? Could we afford it? Well, that works out to be about $20,000 a year, a total of $4.1 trillion a year. But wait a minute, according to the latest figures, we are borrowing about $1 trillion every 6 weeks, $8.66 trillion a year. How could we throw more spending on top of that? Well, according to a November 12th New York Times article, Charles Murray of the conservative American Enterprise Institute has proposed a minimum income to feed the poor and starve the big government beast. Murray wrote in his book, In Our Hands, a plan to replace the welfare state, "Give the money to the people." He suggested guaranteeing $10,000 a year to anyone meeting the following conditions: be an American, be over 21, stay out of jail, and have a pulse. Would it work? In the mid-1970s, the tiny Canadian town of Dauphin in Manitoba acted as a guinea pig for an experiment called Mincome. All the residents of the town received a guaranteed minimum income. Evelyn Forget, a health economist at the University of Manitoba, studied the results. Poverty disappeared, high school completion rates went up, hospitalization rates went down. As Forget wrote, if you have a social program like this, community values themselves start to change. But I think you could even afford to double Murray's $10,000 a year figure. Here's how. So the cost would be $4.1 trillion a year. No means testing, no bureaucracy. $400 just pops into everyone's account every week. But about $1.2 trillion of that would come back to the government through taxes. That would leave the cost of the program at $2.9 trillion. Do you know how much we spend on social programs in the U.S. each year? $2.3 trillion. Let's say $2 trillion of that goes away entirely. So now we are down to out-of-pocket cost of the program at only $900 billion. So how much is the Fed pumping out by quantitative easing every year, mostly to support the banks? Exactly $85 billion a month, or in other words, $1 trillion a year. Cut that out, and we are suddenly in the black with our basic income with just those cuts. But wait, there's another expense we can get rid of entirely: interest on the national debt. Why? Because no nation needs to borrow. It's silly. Now, if we use the latest study from James Hamilton, professor of economics at the University of California, San Diego, the federal government has been lowballing the public for years about the national debt. He says it really is about $70 trillion. If the interest on that debt is about 2.5%, that adds up to an additional $1.75 trillion saved per year. So just based on cutting out these expenses alone, we would come out nearly $2 trillion to the good by pursuing a guaranteed income of $10 an hour. Would it cause people to become lazy? Not likely. But who would dish out burgers at McDonald's? Well, let machines do most of the work and triple the salaries of those who still are needed to run a cash register. On top of a basic income of $400 a week, that would be pretty good money. Would it cause inflation? Probably not. For the poor, most of the basic income would go towards basics: milk, bread, housing, electricity, cell phones, and car payments. But even if it did cause some inflation, it sure would be better than the fate the United States is about to face in the near future: mass looting and pillaging from starving masses. I'm still reporting on the economy. Good day.